Ready? Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of God in Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto the Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Srimvatam Swakata Krishna,
Srimvatam Swakata Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtana,
Punya Shravana Kirtana,
Vidyantasto Bhadrani,
Vidyantasto Bhadrani,
Vidunoti Suritsatam,
Vidunoti Suritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashka Preshu Badreshu,
Nashka Preshu Badreshu,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Bhagavati Namastoke,
Bhagavati Namastoke,
Bhakti Naistiki,
Bhakti Naistiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we have a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, entitled The Process of Creation, and it's text 11. Sutta Uvacha Iti Upamantrito Ragya Iti Upamantrito Ragya This is Guna plus Anukatane. Gunanukatane. Hare. Gunanukatane. Hare. Rishikesham. Anusmritya. Rishikesham Anusmritya. Prativaktum. Prachakrame. Prativaktum Prachakrame. Sutta Vacha. Iti Upamantrito Ragya. Gunanukatane Hare. Rishikesham Anusmritya. Prativaktum Prachakrame. Sutta Vacha. Iti Upamantrito Ragya. Gunanukatane Hare. Rishikesham Anusmritya. Prativaktum Prachakrame. Sutta Vacha. Iti Upamantrito Ragya. Gunanukatane Hare. Rishikesham Anusmritya. Prativaktum Prachakrame. Please stand. I guess it starts with Mother Ganesh if we start with the man.
Sutta Uvacha Iti Rishikesham Sutta Vacha Iti Upamantrito Gunanukatane Hare Rishikesham Anusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame Sutta Vacha Iti Upamantrito Gunanukatane Hare Rishikesham Anusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame Sutta Vacha Iti Upamantrito Rishikesham Anusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame Sutta Vacha Iti Upamato Rajna Gunanutane Hare Rishikesha Manuskrita Pratibhaktum Prachakrame.
Sorry for changing the style. This happened. Yeah, just came out like that. Everybody was following something and I was saying something else.
Oh. Okay. You know what, I was looking, you saying Rajna, and I was looking up, trying to, everybody says yeah for that.
And why? For the J.
And I don't know why, because I can't find a clue why it is in the pronunciation guide. I looked. But,
with the line over it, it's
Yeah, that's
spelled
yeah.
like an NY.
yeah, but the J part always turns into kind of a yeah. Yeah.
Say Rajna or Rajna?
You say Rajna.
Rajna.
Right, you just say Rajna. The N is supposed to sound like nya, like canyon. But I don't know why in the pronunciation guide the J turns into a kind of a hard G the way everybody says it. And I always say it that way too, but I was trying to figure out why, and I don't know why.
What? With a hard G.
What
Yeah, everybody says yagya, like yagya, right?
What happens to the TRI and that Upanma, because people are saying Upanmato Rajna.
Upan Trito.
Trito.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, you get hearing wrong.
Upanmatrito.
Yeah, Upaman Trito.
Upanmatrito.
Yeah, where it's maybe confusing because that ET, the Y runs into like it's a consonant right there. Etu Upaman Trito.
Upanmatrito.
And then we have that Rajya or Rajna, whichever it really is. Okay. Anyways, okay. We're meaning Sutta Vacha.
Sutta Vacha.
Sutta Goswami said.
Sutta Goswami said. Iti. Thus. Upamatrita.
Being requested. Rajya. By the king. Guna Anukatane. In describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord. Hare. Of the personality of Godhead. Rishikesham. The master of the senses. Anusmritya. Properly remembering. Pratibhaktum. Just to reply. Prachakrame. Executed the preliminaries. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadeva Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly he spoke thus. Just a clue, his next few verses are going to be his glorification of the Lord, just to focus on that. So he didn't reply to the question immediately. First he was focusing on glorifying the Lord. So, okay, please repeat. Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadeva Goswami was thus requested by the king, to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna. And to reply properly, he spoke thus. So purport. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the Master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own. The devotee knows that such senses belong to the Supreme Lord, and they can be properly used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments, and elements are ingredients, all endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak, see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only. The Bhagavad Gita 15:15 confirms this. Sarvasya chaham ridi sarivishto matas mritir jnanam apohanam cha. No one is free to act freely and independently, and as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak. And by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of the 4 defects typical of the conditioned soul. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge and offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So the first point I'm going to make is thanks to my husband, Krishna Shaya, because he reminded me to look at the 4 principles, 4 defects, the principles of the 4 defects, typical of the conditioned soul. I was thinking about other things in the purport, so he reminded me, oh yeah, I'm going to have to say what these are. So the 4 defects of the soul are the tendency to have imperfect senses,
Not of the soul.
of the conditioned soul.
The
Yes, the
condition.
conditioned soul. Yeah, it's not good to say that. The soul is purified and doesn't have these things, pure devotee.
At least somebody's listening.
Hmm?
At least somebody's listening. We are like, oh yeah.
I wasn't listening, apparently. I was just running my mouth. I didn't catch that. Thank you. Depending on everybody today. Right out, my husband told me this point, and you were telling me this. Okay, so, let's see. So, imperfect senses, and tendency to commit mistakes, tendency to cheat, and a tendency to be illusioned.
Say that again, please.
Okay, this is my wider Krishna. You have your hand up?
I was once accused of committing all 4 defects at one time.
Fancy footwork there. Do you care to tell the story?
You're such a perfectionist.
He might have been right with a few of them, I don't know.
Say that again.
I'm a little confused, it was a long time ago, but
Oh.
He committed all 4 at one time.
Yeah, I want to know.
We want to know now.
How do you do it?
It was fancy. Okay, so
this is a monistic power here, so I'm not telling you.
tendency to have imperfect senses, tendency to commit mistakes, tendency to be illusioned, tendency to cheat. Say them in a different order each time. So those are the defects of the conditioned soul. And why?
Please, one more time. One more
It
time.
can come out in a different order probably. Tendency to have imperfect senses, to cheat, to commit mistakes, and to be illusioned. So, and why is it the conditioned soul? Because the conditioned soul is not taking permission and working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And a pure devotee does. So the conditioned soul, acting on their own, do these things. So because we can't actually act completely on our own, we'll be under the influence of Krishna's energy, which will give us illusion and give us temptations and imperfect senses and all that. So we go by it and try to wing it on our own, we will do these things. We commit these mistakes. Probably all 4 at once, probably more often than we know. Well, maybe it's true that Krishna's unique.
You know, the cheating one is the only one you can be aware. The others, you can make mistakes, no?
Well, you can remember that your senses are imperfect and be cautious. You can make mistakes, but they make mistakes.
Make mistakes, you cannot avoid that.
You try not to, but that mistakes happen
Illusion
anyway.
too, the same thing.
Illusion, yeah.
You see something, but then it turns out it's actually not what you see.
But cheating is
Cheating, you know.
sometimes you know. Some kinds of cheating you know about. Some kinds of cheating you don't know, because it is kind of an attempt to cheat, to assume that your illusion is correct without checking something out, for example. So we cheat in lots of little subtle ways that we don't even think about, too. So, and then there's, of course, deliberate cheating. It's like stealing or something. And possibly there's ways we steal in ways that are very subtle that we don't even think about. And then there's official stealing, that you can get caught doing wrong. Anyways, okay, so those are the defects. So if you are acting in a way surrendered to the Lord, then you reduce your tendency to commit these defects is reduced more and more as you go along. So, the other thing that my husband helped me with, Krishna Shriver, reminded me today, when he looked at the day and said, what's any special today? He discovered that it's the appearance day of Sita Thakurani. So in the end, I'll talk a little bit about her. Thank you for that too. Okay. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the master of the senses. So the devotees of the Lord are like that, and those of us trying to be devotees, that there's times when we wing it, we hope we say something right, and time we think we can do it independently. There's times, and then we're like winging it. So they think they can speak only what they're induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the master of the senses. So we try to give, when we're, for instance, giving class or speaking something to somebody, helping them in Krishna consciousness, preaching in some way, or talking amongst each other, we hope anyways, and we try to keep a consciousness that we are not just speaking on our own, but that Super Soul is helping us, Prabhupada is helping us speak, and sometimes that's why sometimes giving class is such an exciting experience, because you get surprised yourself. Things come to mind, and you say, that was Super Soul. And everybody else who are hearing things like that, so that was Super Soul. So the master of the senses of the individual being are not his own. So this is really interesting, because Krishna created the senses, and you see a little bit in Canto 2 and more deeply in Canto 3. Krishna, or Mahavishnu, created the senses, the sense organs, the sense objects. He created them before there were any beings created, which is really interesting that the Supreme Lord wanted to materially have these things, so he created them. They existed in the subtle plane before there are gross bodies to have them. So the bodies are created according to this, like a blueprint, created first, which is really interesting and hard to understand, because we tend to think something doesn't exist until you create it with gross matter. And actually, that's not how creation happened. So it's a real puzzle for our modern brains anyways, to read those cantos and find out about the process of creation like that the senses were created and the sense organs were created before there were any bodies created, before there were any living entities given bodies. So they are definitely, the senses are not our own. They belong to Krishna. Rishikesha is the word of the Rishi must be sensification. Let me see. I can't break down the word. Okay, anyway, Rishikesha means the Lord of the senses. The senses are instruments and elements are ingredients. So that the instruments and the ingredients were created first before there were any living beings to have them. And endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak, see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only, whether we know it or not. It's His energy, it's His, everything belongs to Him. And so even the gross materialist atheist who knows nothing about this, he's like a puppet. He's under the direction of the material energy, which is the Lord's energy, and the super soul in his heart controlling everything. So the Bhagavad Gita 15:15 confirms this, so I'll just go there from that for it. Sarvasya chaham vidisani vishto mata smatir dhyanam apopanam cha. Sarvasya chaham vidisani vishto mata smatir dhyanam apopanam cha. Vedaischa sarvairaham veda eva vedyo vedanta krit veda krit eva chaham.
Veda vid.
Did I say it right? Wrong.
You said.
Thank you.
I thought you said Veda vid.
On the Lord, I can't even give class without the devotees.
I thought you said Veda vid, but I see Vedanta Krit's name in there.
Yeah, there's Vedanta Krit's name, but it's with a Vedanta Krit, and the word meanings is separated. It's not a D, it's a T. So that's how you spell his name, Vedanta Krit, folks.
Where's his name?
The compiler of the Vedanta.
Vedanta Krit.
It means Krishna. It's the name of Krishna. So.
KRD.
Yeah. Vedanta Krit in the verse, Vedanta Krit in the Vedanta Krit in the word meanings. I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I'm to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. I'll read this purport a little bit. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all activities are initiated. We think we're independent. It all comes from the Paramatma helping us. The living entity forgets everything of his past life. There's his forgetfulness. But he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness of all his work. I don't know if this even refers to such things as forgetting your keys, but forgetting your past life, that puts us in the present, in ignorance in the present. Because we certainly forget our past life in the spiritual world, and we forget our past life in the material world and all our past lives. So he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord who is witness to all his work. So we have to act. Here we are just lost in this ignorance of our many verses, but the Lord remembers and the Lord is directing us accordingly. So we are suffering through all the struggles that we created in our past that we don't even remember. I think the reason we don't remember, he gives us forgetfulness, would be we would be overwhelmed with the remembrance. If we could remember our past life and all our past lives and all the times we died, could we even function? Could we even act out our desires and learn lessons? If we remember all the times we died, all the time we wouldn't want to do anything, we would just be frozen. So this forgetfulness is helpful to us in a way, but it also keeps us in ignorance if we don't want the Lord. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. So a living entity, small h, begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. So he gets given what we need. Thus, the Lord is not only all-pervading, he's also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive results. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to God and back to home. Now the Vedas, this word is mean, Vedas can mean specifically 4 Vedas, in which case you don't get that much information of Krishna. You get a lot of information of Karmakanda and procedures like that, but you don't get a lot of information of Krishna in the 4 Vedas. I haven't read in this way, I understand. So but the Vedas also mean all the Vedic literature, and the word Veda means knowledge. So all the Vedic knowledge. So the Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity, and the giver of knowledge in the form of Vedas, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. He is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus God is all good, God is all merciful. Anta pravishta shastra jnananam, the living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, that he begins his work again initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his past life. So we forget. We also forget because of the trauma of birth. Like we should be able to, in this body, we should be able to remember from when we started some thoughtful process in this body, some awareness in the womb. We think we should be able to remember. But the life events cause us to forget. We can't remember past life. We can't even remember our life in the womb because the trauma of birth starts everything new. Wow, here I am a baby. And so Krishna gives the intelligence so that we can continue where we left off. Because the desires are there in the heart. And he kind of helps us out with acting out these desires so that we can continue. But it seems new somehow. but he's helping us, so it's very, very deep thing. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his past life. So not only does a living entity enjoy or suffer in this world, according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. So Krishna helps us get to where we can hear from the spiritual master and from the scriptures. So Krishna knows if somebody is even lost out there, that Krishna will hear that person's desire. Krishna in the heart, this person is serious about getting knowledge. So he guides closer and closer to where we can hook up with knowledge and start our path. He helps that way. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individual needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yo sao sarvara vedaya giyate. And all Vedic literature beginning from the four Vedas, all Vedic literature beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishads and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of the Vedic philosophy, and worship of the Lord in devotional service is attained. We all need that, because otherwise, each of us needs Krishna. We left him. So we need him. We left him because we got a big idea. And so we came here to try to practice our big idea. But he's our best friend. We're looking all over the place for our best friend. And we keep thinking different people are our best friend, our true love. And we're still looking because everybody disappoints us somehow. So everybody needs Krishna. Everybody needs to know about Krishna. So the Vedas give us direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra 114 confirms this in the following words. Tatu samanniyat. One can attain perfection in 3 stages. By understanding, this is going to tell you about Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana knowledge. So listen, when I read this, you'll hear it in here. Sambandha means knowledge of the relationship, what's what, and who am I in relation to God, who's God. And Avideya is knowledge of what to do about it, what's the process. And Prayojana knowledge is knowledge of what the goal is. So you hear it in these sentences. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing the different processes, one can approach him. And at the end, one can attain the supreme goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. So you hear the Sambandha, Avideya, Prayojana in those sentences. I have in the past tried to analyze the verse. Okay, which part's Sambandha, which part's Avideya, which part's Prayojana? I'm not so sure, but the ultimate summary of those 3 levels of understanding is in this verse. So if one knows how to unlock it, that's why we need the spiritual master. So, when we talk about, so now I'll go to Sita Thakurani. We hear a little bit about her. She's the wife of Advaitacharya. So Srimati Sita Thakurani is to be worshipped as the mother of the universe, just as much as the mother of the Supreme Lord Sriman Shachi Devi. She is the eternal wife of Lord Sri Sadashiva Mahavishnu Avatar Advaita Acharya. And she was the daughter of Sri Nrsimha Banduri. She was married to Sri Advaitacharya in Puri Nagara. Let's see, let's go. Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described the birth celebration at the house of Jagannath Mishra upon the advent of the Lord, meaning Lord Chaitanya, giving special attention to the position of Shri Sita Thakurani, Advaitacharya's wife, worshipable by all 3 worlds. Taking the Acharya's orders on her head, she had come to take a look at this new child, this jewel of jewels, into our presence. On the eve of his son's advent, Sri Jagannath Mishra, seeing the imminent signs of his child's arrival, sent word to Advaitacharya in Shantipur that the long-awaited child was being born. Hearing news of the advent of his unprecedented child, Advaitacharya floated in the waves of ecstasy. With Sri Haridas Thakur, he went to bathe in the river, and after much dancing and song, he sent his wife to go quickly to Mayapur in Navadvip. So I'm going to read this is a description from Chaitanya Charitamrita. One day shortly after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaitacharya's wife, Sita Devi, who was worshipable by the whole world, taking permission of her husband, went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presents. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including bangles for the Lord, armlets, necklaces, and anklets. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment, also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented for the child. Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants is the proper way for a lady to travel. Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, goro chana, which I don't know what that is, sounds like maybe gold something, turmeric, kumkum, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a big basket. When Srila Thakurani came to the house of Shachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newborn child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna Kula himself. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the Lord, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Sita Thakurani was very much pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting. She blessed the newborn child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head, and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai to disguise him. On the day that the mother and son took bath and left the maternity room, Sita Thakurani gave him all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind as she returned home. From that day on, Sita Thakurani would often come to Mayapur from Shantipur in order to teach Shachi Mata how to care for the new baby. She would give her many different instructions on how to raise children. And after helping the child in that way, she would return to Shantipur. So, that was the most interesting thing about this, besides who Sita Thakurani is. She's in a parental relationship with the Lord, and she's, I guess that would make her an expansion of Yashoda or something like that. So anyway, she's the eternal consort. So that makes her maybe closely related to Radharani. So it's mysterious, but she's the eternal consort of Advaitacharya, which perhaps since he is he's Mahavishnu, and so then she would be the goddess of fortune too. So kind of mysterious who she really is, how this works out. But the interesting thing besides that was that she was instructing Shachi Mata how to raise a child, and they were instructed. I think that she also instructed Jagannath Mishra how to raise him, or maybe her husband must have. But anyway, there was so much instruction by elders given to, and it's so different from our modern culture, where everybody wants to shrug off their parents and practice their independence. So kind of puzzling about that a little bit. I think that we throw people into independence and expect them to gain independence, and then they want to shrug off their parents. Well, one thing, their parents are guessing. The parents are not. Their parents also were independent and made their mistakes and stuff. And this other kind of system where everybody, seniors always instruct, and down through time seniors have been instructing, is safer, and there's a lot less mistakes. As long as it's God conscious, as long as it's Krishna conscious instruction and the culture is Krishna conscious, because otherwise you could be handing down mistakes too. But maybe that's what we do in the West. We hand down mistakes. We do seek senior guidance, but we seek it in books and on the computer, don't we? We don't seek it from elders. very much. So this our culture is that way, and it's not so good. Now that Prabhupada has introduced Krishna consciousness and the highest standards of everything, hopefully this culture will take hold more as we learn how to follow these instructions, and then the seniors can give good instruction to the juniors, and the juniors can feel safe accepting these instructions. So this is a traditional culture, and this is exhibited in this story. So even though Mother Shachi Devi is eternally, must be an extension of Mother Yashoda, eternally pure devotee of Krishna, still she accepted this instruction, and as part of the dynamic. And it gave an example to us that the seniors who have all their experience and have behind them all the instructions handed down, and all supposed to be Krishna conscious instructions handed down. So the instructions will be appreciated and accepted. It's a much safer system, but we in the West are not used to it. That we are under someone who's ahead, and who is under someone, and it's all instructions given down. We act within those instructions. Just like in the verse, actually it connects to this verse too, that we take permission, this is what else I was going to say, take permission from the Lord to do any action. It said in any action, even I don't know which sentence it said that. It says one of these sentences. It said even eating, before acting, eating, or speaking. So one of these sentences. Before acting, eating, or speaking, one should take permission. Now, literally, I don't take permission before I do anything. I just do. However, if you have instructions, you don't bother the person who's instructing you by asking permission to do what they told you to do. So the instruction contains the permission. So by following the instruction, we're obeying, and that includes permission. So we try to, most of the time, do things according to instructions handed down from Prabhupada through the devotees who've been trained by Prabhupada, and found in the books and so on. We follow these instructions. That is permission. It's included under the topic of permission. Then if we have to make some new decision, a life change, should I move to another temple? Should I get a job? Should I choose a career? Should I surrender to the temple totally? Should I get married? Should I get married to this person or that? Should I have children? These life decisions that we have to make that are individual and not dictated to us, then we usually pray to Krishna and ask before we do something. We should, devotees should do that. So taking permission, because otherwise, much more likely the four defects. If we try to act independently, if we follow instructions, which includes permission, or if we take permission when we have to make a decision, then that helps prevent these four defects. We're a lot safer. So now where are we stop? I think you were first.
Was I first?
That's pretty good.
I have my hands up already, but he can go.
On your head, probably. You're ready to be first.
I did.
Is that what you were saying? Anyway, let me finish.
Of all the senses, I am the, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of all the senses, I am the mind.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So if he's our mind, we have 8 senses. One of them is the mind. The subtle senses of the mind, intelligence, and ego, or false ego. So if he is the mind, then we can't be saying, I just thought of something. Because the mind does the thinking, feeling, and willing. Krishna, Paramatma, is doing the thinking, feeling, and willing. Mm-hmm. We are cooperating with that when we decide to do what is indicated by the mind. Sometimes we will contaminate it with our own desire. So the objective is to hear Krishna's instruction. When we think of something, we think we thought of it, but actually Krishna is putting that proposal before us and giving us the opportunity to either accept or reject it.
Very good, yes, thank you. Yeah, we think that the subconscious mind is the source of things, and you know, people talk about how to access your subconscious mind, you know, and how to get it to, but just getting a little peace and quiet so the super soul can be heard. Yes, yeah.
Accessing the subconscious mind is praying to Krishna.
Like I heard at least once, maybe more than that when the Om means praying to Krishna, and people say Om when they're trying to think of something. So it means Om. Krishna, tell me quick what to say. Om. So actually, I think Krishna tries next time.
Okay.
So when Sita Devi was inside that circle of protection, she was fine, but she didn't have permission to leave.
Ramchandra's Sita.
Right.
She did not have permission to step out of it.
And so when she stepped out of it, everything just went in a handbasket.
But I read
It all fell apart.
I read one thing, just so nice to read this and see it. It's such a relief to my mind. And somebody posted on Facebook on her appearance day once that when Sita was in their hut and she felt that Ravana was in the vicinity or coming, and so she gazed into the fire and took shelter of the fire god. So the real Sita exited, and Maya Sita was there and did all these mistakes.
So it's two Sitas, yeah.
Well, yeah, the Maya Sita. Well, the Maya Sita is an expansion of Sita because Maya Sita is Radharani and Maya Devi is an expansion. Yeah, the female aspect.
Just a quick dovetail. Our mind is our best friend, our worst enemy. So in a way, Krishna's the super soul mind.
Well, Krishna, the mind is not ourselves. The mind is made of material energy, subtle material energy, which is Krishna's energy.
Yeah.
We don't own our own mind, but we have a little bit of free will about how we use it. So by our attitude and our desires, we can either listen. We can listen to Krishna, the super soul, giving us help, or we can listen to the influences of Maya on us in the mind.
So it can be.
It's called adulteration.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like if we can either serve Krishna or we can serve his energy.
Right.
So if we serve Krishna's energy, then we'll be in Maya. We'll be in illusion. We'll be running off after wrong things with our mind. Our mind will say, well, I want this because we don't want to serve Krishna, so we're going to serve his energy, and that means the modes of nature and the senses and all that stuff. And it's, oh yes, we go that way.
Krishna fulfills all desires.
That's it. Krishna fulfills all desires. So the super soul, if you don't want to serve him, if we didn't want to serve him, we want to do things. If he didn't help us, we would be stuck. We would be floating in limbo somewhere forever. We would not be able to act on our desires or anything. Krishna gives us that ability. We have nothing by ourselves. So he gives us our ability. He fulfills the desires to. So I guess you would say, mind being Krishna's energy. If we don't want to serve Krishna, then Maya will act as our enemy. By our mind will act as our enemy. Being Krishna's energy, super soul fulfilling our desires, will take us away from Krishna.
It'll turn on you.
It'll turn on.
It's not utilized right, it's going to be utilized wrong.
Yeah. Yes. Well, actually, Katya, then
Then it'll be regret.
Yeah, Katya.
Okay. I just wanted to ask quickly, when you were saying about instructions and rules, that we have permission for instructions and so on, and that when we don't have individual instruction within a book and we have some life-changing situation, we should pray to Krishna. So we should just basically pray to Krishna, but we should ask our spiritual master, right, what to do.
And sometimes the spiritual master is not so available. The official spiritual master is not available for specific decisions. However, the other devotees are also Shiksha Gurus. They're acting in that capacity too in a local way for the details of daily life. So you can ask the devotees around you too. So, we can ask permission, but we don't know how to interpret an instruction, we don't know how it applies to us. The devotees can tell us a whole lot, and the spiritual master can tell us a lot, and Super Soul can tell us a lot. It comes together.
But so it's not like any devotee, right? I mean,
Thank you.
And it is. Sometimes it's like any devotee. When I was new, there was no bhakti program, and I heard of such a thing as a bhakti program. But I was in Detroit, and there wasn't one. And two different Matajis tried to be bhakti leaders, and neither of them could get it together. And so I was like frustrated. I want somebody to teach me. And so I said, okay, I guess I have to accept that Krishna is my bhakti leader, and he's going to speak through anybody. At any moment, anybody can say, don't do that. You should do this. And so I had to try to practice being humble and listening. So you should listen to everybody. Some are maybe more right than others, and you have to use some discernment too. Maybe you have to ask somebody else about what somebody said, but Krishna can speak through anybody around you.
oh no, but I mean, of course, when someone is correcting you, it's one thing, but if it's about life-changing decision, like, should I get married, should I go to another temple, it's like, you may ask your temple president, and he'll tell you have to stay because he's emotionally involved, for example. Or you will ask your friend, and he also will say the same thing. But your spiritual master, if he would be available, he would tell you, no, you have to go. So it's different.
Well, I have to tell you to be realistic. Sometimes the spiritual master has 1,000 disciples or something, and so it all comes together, and Super Soul helps you sort it out. You be real sincere. Sometimes the spiritual master is a long ways away as far as making decisions. He's not God, that he knows everything.
He's as good as God.
As good as God, but not that he knows everything. Not that he's omniscient. He knows what God tells him if he's a pure devotee and hears it all. You know what I mean? And all of them are guaranteed to be pure devotee. We're all on a path. And it depends how well we repeat. So it's not like the spiritual master is God and everybody else is lesser. It's a little different from that. Spiritual master has a particular role to play, but all of them are not like Prabhupada. You know what I'm saying? Prabhupada is especially empowered and especially pure. So
Prabhupada was talking with Krishna personally at all times.
He could hear Krishna talk back, so he could see Krishna smiling to him. So, you have to learn how it actually works in practice. It's not like, don't separate the spirit. I'm going to ask my spiritual master, and he knows. He might or might not actually give you a complete guide. He might be able to, might not, exactly. He has a particular role to play that's really important. You don't expect him to be God. You know what I'm saying? Because the Super Soul is in everyone's heart. And different people may speak you different guidance, and eventually you'll find your way. Sometimes it takes a little while, sometimes it's clear. Sometimes it's not clear for a while. And then I think Ardwani is next.
My point was also like in that realm that if you have a living guru and you have to make a life-changing decision, then and that person is available or accessible, then it's a good idea to consult that person. But then listening to what you had to say, I agree also that Krishna can speak through others. Even Krishna can speak through, there's in the 11th canto, how that one Brahmana has so many gurus, 25 gurus, the spider, the mountain, the wind, the honeybee, like that. But it's true that the spiritual master is the outward manifestation of Chaitya Guru, the Guru in the heart. So,
Chaitya Guru does not limit himself to only speak one way to you. He's in everybody's heart. He's in your heart and everybody else's heart. He has different ways.
A case for that.
I'm not. I'm just expressing the same thing you said. I'm just adding to it.
Yeah, so, just good to keep your listening ears on, I guess.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I remember Prabhupada was giving these extreme examples when a brahmachari lives with his spiritual master in Gurukul, for example. He is not even, he can't eat if spiritual master is not telling him to eat. So no matter, it's not said that his spiritual master is like Prabhupada. It's just said that spiritual master, you can't do anything without his permission, you don't eat. I mean, we're not doing this, of course, but I mean, in extreme case. So if you have to when you live with, if you're a Gurukul boy, you have to be that submissive. So I think if you decide to get married or move to another country, it's very good to us.
Definitely should do that with the permission of the spiritual master. But he might not be able to be personally involved in your particular way of doing it, or who you choose or something. He might, maybe somebody else helps you with that, and you ask permission and say, okay, like that.
I also heard my Maharaj say that if you're in a quandary about what to do, that you can consult 3 Brahmins.
3 Brahmins?
Yeah.
And it's always Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So the Brahmanas would be the sadhus.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, somebody who you may think who is not qualified, we find out, sometimes gives the best advice. Someone who has ruined their career or ruined their marriage, you would say, well, I don't want to ask them. They were a failure or they messed up. They actually might give the best advice because believe me, don't go down that path.
Yeah.
Like after you, one of our sadhus here says, after you have torn up a relationship, it is a lot harder to fix it than it is to break it. And from experience, that is said. And so you can really take that to heart. And we don't know who says that, but he knows.
It's a learning process to learn. Actually, ultimately, you got to fly your own airplane. Sometimes people say the Guru's going to take you back to Godhead. But then there is also that teaching that you have to fly your own airplane. The Guru might not be right there with you. So you have to know how to find your way in your mind to Krishna's lotus feet under all these different circumstances. So it's why we call it advancement. You learn slowly, yeah.
Your spiritual master is always with you. It's not like he's not with you. He's always with you through instructions. Isn't that
Instructions?
So if your own airplane, like your spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada are always with us, no?
In the end, they teach you how to fly the airplane, and you got to fly it. So, like anything else you fly or driving a car, there's a lot of factors. You got to learn how to look around. You got to learn how to read the signs. You got to learn how to manage the brakes and the gas pedal and the steering wheel, and know the size of the car and how it turns. All these factors you got to learn in life, and that's why we call it spiritual advancement, because you don't know it all already in the beginning. You learn it slowly. You make advancement in understanding it. Yeah.
Is this why a wise guru would understand that he is one of the 3-point checkpoints, and you didn't follow my orders?
Yeah, it's not.
He knows that his situations.
It's not about the guru claiming to be being the center.
Right. Because it's Guru Sadhu Shastra.
It's a service he's doing, and everybody is pitching in some way, yeah.
Because it seems like they're really cool on that. They say, well, okay, so be it. You just decided this way.
So it all comes together, and it all comes together in so many individualized ways, and it's a matter of just like you drive a car, and every road is different, every car is different, and it just comes together, and you get better and better at understanding it.
Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect, over years. Sometimes you make a mistake, you misunderstand an instruction, and you do the wrong thing for a reason that looked good, like Arjuna was going to leave the battlefield for some really good reasons.
It made sense.
There's some really good shastric reasons he was going to leave the battlefield. And Krishna didn't want him to. So Krishna had to take him deeper. And then when Arjuna had a deeper understanding, he was ready to do what Krishna wanted. And so life is like that. Sometimes we may analyze according to Shastra, according to, and we can make a mistake. In fact, Arjuna was protected from it. We could make a big mistake. Well, it's not the end. It's just a different way you learn. So just keep on having faith and keep on trying.
All those that opposed Krishna and on the list died on the battlefield and went back home, back to Godhead anyway.
Right.
Because they were acting in relation to Krishna, even though it was wrong.
That's true. Even they were on the wrong side of Krishna, because they saw Krishna, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So Krishna has us protected from all angles, but at the same time we have to grow up. Like we have to become mature devotees.
Just got to act in relation to Krishna.
Yeah, learn how to relate. So it's complicated in a way, but it's very simple. It's us and Krishna. And Guru is a manifestation of Krishna in us. Very simple. Yeah. Is that okay? Make sense? Okay, so thank you, everybody, for all your participation
Thank you
and
very
insights,
much.
and all those to Srila Prabhupada and all those to